Who would like to open us up in prayer? Thank the Lord. All right.
Jesus, thank you for this time. Thank you that we can all gather here together to learn, and thank you for Captiv8, that we can honor you with our films. Just help us to honor you in everything that we do, including our media. Amen.
Awesome. So who has done Captiv8 before? Okay. Who has not done Captiv8 before? All right. Have you done any sort of film festival type thing before? Okay.
I did.
Doing a film for a film festival as opposed to doing just a normal film are two completely different things, mainly because of the 48-hour part. I can say personally, the 2 years that I did it, it was the most rewarding, some of the most rewarding things I've done, some of the most fun things I've done, and easily the most stressful thing that I've ever done. It's taxing physically and mentally, and everything. It's very difficult, but in the end, if you get a great film, then it's all worth it. So today we're going to talk about production. Nico did the pre-production one last week, and I think, Tim, you're doing the post-production one after spring break. So make sure to sign up for that one. It's going to be awesome. Production. I'm going to talk about 5 main different ideas, and we're going to break them down as we go. The first rule, I think, for production is to do more pre-production. If you're at a point where you think you've done enough pre-production, you have not done enough pre-production. Go do more pre-production. You should never have to make any major decisions on set. If you're a DP and you've never thought through the scene and you're going around with your camera trying to figure out what would look next, it's not going to go well. Bad things are going to happen. A lot of times you hear about big movie sets and stuff storyboarding. We don't really storyboard here. It's not really pushed. I would encourage it. If you don't have anybody that can draw on your team, because most of the time, do we all know what storyboards are? Right, frame by frame you go through. If you don't have anybody that can draw on your team, one of the things that we did as a team is we went into the studio, we got the camera we were going to use, got all the lenses we were going to rent out, and shot by shot went through every single thing we did for cost. And we wrote down, we took the shot, we wrote down what lens we were using, what f-stop we wanted to be at for the depth of field and everything like that. So as we went through, all we had, like an iPad, we could just cycle through it. We had everything, the notes written down, we never had to think about it. If you don't like drawing, it's a great alternative. You still get storyboard, and it's like a fun activity. Team connection, it's always good. If this is the, okay, so the people who are already established on teams, have you worked with these people before? Yes, no. Some yes, some no, all right. I would try to do something with this team before Captiv8. Just try, learn what it's going to be like to work with those people. I've worked with quite a few people in my time here, some easier than others. Some have gone really fantastic and swimmingly, and everybody gets along, and others there's creative disagreements. It doesn't always end up as you like it. And knowing those things and knowing how to handle those foreseeable situations once you get on set is really good before you get on set. Anything you can do to reduce the stress on set beforehand is better. More pre-production. This is all pre-production. So learn how to work together before you get on there. If you, like, I hate sports, I think they're stupid. But if you're on a football team and Captiv8 was the playoffs and this was the first time you all played together, it would be really bad. It would go horribly. Doesn't matter how great your quarterback is, if the rest of your team is not communicating well, then it's not going to work out. So learn to work together beforehand, figure out your strengths and weaknesses, and run with that. All right. Same goes for actors. You don't necessarily need to shoot a whole project with your actors, but if the first time your actors are running through their lines is in front of a camera, that's a really bad idea. They need to work together with the director, hopefully, do run-throughs, make it go through. I know Nico's film for last year, they were so well rehearsed They had done the lines so many times over and over and over. They didn't need the script. They just went straight through it, and it was a very emotional video. So an excellent performance. You could tell that they knew what they were doing. So do that. Make sure you run through it with them. Does anybody have actors already? Like, have gotten to that part of pre-production? Does anybody have a story? Like a script? An idea?
Nice try, Caleb.
I'm not competing this year, so I'm not worried about me. Gear rental. Everybody knows we have 5Ds. And there's a black magic floating around and all that stuff. Not everybody's going to get the 5D, and not everybody's going to get black magic. So that leaves you with either cameras you personally own or can get a hold of, a 60D, or the NX70. That's all we have there. You could shoot with the film cameras if you really wanted to. I wouldn't suggest it. There's iPhone, right? We just did that film festival. Yeah. That's right. Do we have a 70? Do we have 70? Okay. So, choosing the right camera for the job is important. In not all cases, the 60D is going to be better than the NX70. There's some things the NX70 does a lot better than 60D does. There's some things the 60D does better than NX70 does. If you're going to be shooting stuff that is a lot of action and you're running around, nobody's done an action film yet, really. That would be cool. They're probably not going to want you to take a 5D. They're going to want to give you the 60D or NX70 or something like that. So make sure you work through your script and figure out what equipment you need, not only with lighting, or not only with camera, but with lighting. We don't have that much lighting. We have Aries, we have 2 area kits, we have lulls, we have Kino flows, stuff like that. Look through your script. Again, if you're going to need something that's going to need a bunch of lights, either make sure you rent out that stuff really early, or go to Home Depot and buy some cans. We'll talk about budgeting later, but make sure you're prepared. Look through that script. I'm sure Nico's covered some of this stuff in his workshop. I'm just going over it because, again, if you want your production to go well, do more pre-production. Same for reflectors. Does anybody use reflectors for video? I started using them recently, and they're like the most magical thing in the world. I suggest trying it out. If you've never touched a 5D before, and you rent the 5D out for Captiv8, it's not going to go well. You're not going to have a good time. You're not going to know how to change any of the settings, and in a situation where you're trying to be efficient and quick, it's just a bad idea. Same goes for Kino flows, Aries, different lenses, audio equipment. If you don't know how to run a lapel and you're renting out lapels, these are not easy to set up. I don't think we've figured this out right now. I still don't. Is it working now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it took like 10 minutes. But if you don't know how to work it, it's going to be bad. And 10 minutes is a lot of time on set. And my big last point for pre-production when it comes to renting equipment is bring a lot of extra batteries. Trust me. Just bring a lot of extra batteries. Rent out more than you think you need, because you will use all of them. All right. Roles. So of the people that have teams already, have you established who like your director is, who your DP is, and stuff like that? Or are you just like a group of friends gonna go get it, right? Just gonna figure it out when you get there. Awesome. I would suggest establishing roles beforehand. But be specific about what every person is in charge of individually. I'll tell you for our group, what worked really well for us. Our group has been the same the past 2 years. It was me, Callie, y'all know Nick Mayo. He hasn't left yet, he's still here. And Zach Snyder, he graduated in December. Follow Focus Films, it doesn't mean anything, that's just, we needed a name. We signed up really fast. We did the past 2 years. Our established roles that we did each year, obviously a director is very important to deal specifically with the actors. Hopefully shouldn't have to deal too much with The rest of the production, the way we like to set it up is that, like, when we were shooting Jim, and we were setting up scenes, we were doing all that, and they were in a different room, getting ready, getting in character and all that kind of stuff. Underneath the director is assistant director. In addition to helping the director with that stuff, we also had the assistant director, excuse me, going through the shot list. He was the one with the iPad looking through to make sure that we had everything written down. And this is just we did. If you don't want to do it this way, by all means, do something else. Also producer, that would be Callie, both years, in charge of all the planning, the scheduling, all the stuff that I hated to do, renting, budgeting. It makes me cringe just thinking about it. I'm glad I didn't have to deal with it. They're also the person in charge of if you're going to a church or somewhere that's you need permission to get to, they're the person making the phone calls. They're the person talking with anybody that might be helping out that's not directly in your core group. Then there's DP. I have director of photography. I have DP both years for our stuff. Obviously in charge of the camera. And our sets, I've also handled most of lighting and stuff like that, where the lights need to be, composition, and in whoever your DP is, just something to note, something that I've personally noticed, since this is the one thing that I've been doing. It is probably the most physically taxing job up there, just simply because when your director gets there, he's going to go and he's going to start working with the actors and talk about this, and everybody's setting up, and you're setting up all your stuff with them. And then once your set director and your grips and everything are done setting up everything, they get to walk away, and you are working through setup, through shoot, through teardown. You are constantly doing stuff. And we'll talk about later how that doesn't always go so well if it's 4 in the morning and you haven't gotten to sleep in a long time. Underneath the DP is the assistant camera. You don't technically need an assistant camera. I have found it super useful. Nick Mayo often will help me with assistant camera. He's the best assistant camera that has ever lived, as far as I'm concerned. And then set director. The first year this was Zack Snyder for us on Cost. Has anybody seen Cost and Jim? Because I'm going to talk about them occasionally. So I just want to know. Okay. And set director is in charge of the PAs and the grips, all the lighting, everything that's not the camera. Often talking a lot with the DP just to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be and all that kind of stuff. Now, you've established all these roles, y'all know what you're going to do, and when it comes time for production and things are going wrong or things has to get done, be willing to forsake all of your roles. When you get there and work has to get done, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're just standing around and everybody else is working, you're doing something wrong. You need to be constantly in it. And really, there's no room for ego in a 48-hour film festival. It doesn't matter if you're the director of photography, whatever you want to call yourself. If there's something that has to be moved and you're the director, you are not above manual labor, moving stuff out of the way. You are a team working together to make something awesome, and you should work together as a team. Even if you are a leader, I mean, we're all Christians here, leading with a servant's heart. You know, the director, I would think, should be the person working the hardest through anything. So, yeah, that's roles. And this is going to be fairly short. Afterwards, we're going to do like a Q&A thing if anybody has any questions or ideas or thoughts. All right. Stress and fatigue. Like I said before, it's probably going to be one of the most stressful experiences of your life. And it'll all be worth it, I promise. But it is going to be stressful, and it is going to be tiring. It is a 48-hour film festival. That often means you're getting maybe 4 hours. How many hours of sleep have you gotten on average? 3?
About 4.
Yeah, it's not often. Especially during editing, you can expect to be staying up all night and knocking it out. Because of how stressful it can be, and because how stressful it can be over a long period of time. People will snap at you. You need to be careful, more careful with even your closest friends than you would be in a normal situation. Zach and I have snapped at each other at these things multiple times. Nick and I have disagreed, and I mean, we hang out all the time. Nick's always in our room. He graduated, he's still in our room. But it's a stressful event. You get at each other, and it's just gonna happen. One specific example of this is we were on set for Jim, and we had just finished shooting the scene of Jim where at the end where he's doing the whole like Smeagol Gollum thing in the mirror and he's yelling at himself, which by now it's like 3 in the morning, and I've been going personally for like a day and a half with barely any sleep, and I was about to pass out. I could not go anymore, but we had another probably 2 or 3 hours left to go. So I went to Nick and basically told him, if I don't stop now, I'm going to pass out, and ended up giving him DP role, and he ended up shooting the last couple of scenes by himself because he understood my problem. At the end of the day, we want to make sure, like, number 1 priority, health and concern, nobody dies, right? That's important. You know, film's great, but if everybody's dead at the end of it, it's probably not a great work ethic. This stress and fatigue can happen a lot on your actors. There's a lot of different kind of actors that prepare a lot of different kinds of ways. Vanessa Duncan has starred in both of our films, not as the main, but as leading lady. And she's a phenomenal actress. I think one of the best that we've had on campus. Just got finished shooting a music video. It was really good. But she, getting into character for her was it was an on and off switch, but she wasn't acting when she got into that character. She became this character. Whoever it was, she was now, whether it was Lauren or the wife from Cost. I remember the beginning of Cost, if you haven't seen it, Nick is married to Vanessa, and they're arguing, and their marriage is starting to fall apart. And there was a particular scene we were shooting, and a couple seconds before action was called, Zach and I were standing and we were watching Vanessa as she dipped into character, and like she turned away for a second and she turned back, and you could see it all over her face. She was now a soon-to-be divorcee trying to argue with her husband while taking care of her son, and it was scary. It was terrifying, and neither of us wanted to look at her or make eye contact because she was now this person. She kind of took on that personality. Jim was very different. Jim could not flip it on very quickly, and the same Smeagol Gollum thing that happened at the end, not an easy thing to shoot. He shot it all pretty much in 2 takes. One is the angry Jim versus the polite, suffering James. I haven't watched it. I think it was James. And he had to go, we had everything set up, and he went in a side room for 15 minutes before each one of the 2 takes and got him into character. For the angry version, I think he was remembering all these different times that people had like heard him in his life while listening to old school Eminem and just like raging out for a while. And he did a couple takes with that and knocked it out, and then he went back in, and his family had just gone through like a personal tragedy, a death in the family, so he spent the next 15 minutes listening to sad music and thinking about his family member who had just died, and then came back to play the sad version of himself. So, I mean, when he got in, he was like tears everywhere and everything like that. But knowing how your actors get into character and being willing to work with them as they go through that is really important. If we had expected Jim to flip that switch on in 15 seconds, because we're on such a time thing, that scene would have flopped, it would have gone horribly. But Vanessa wouldn't need 15 minutes, and she'd be sitting around staring at her shoes. So have that in mind as you go through. different things that you may not have thought about that will cause stress on set. First of all, late night, we've kind of talked about that. When you're shooting till 4 or 5 in the morning, everybody's, after that slap happy period, and everybody starts to get really tired and then just really irritable. Everybody, like 15 people, are all going to be irritable working with each other. It's horrible. But it's worth it, right? Hopefully. The temperature. Anybody who's been involved with Captiv8 and shot anything outdoors the past 2 years, it has not been warm and sunshiny. Everything has been freezing. The first little known story about cost. The first Captiv8, we had planned shooting the first day. We had the little boy from the film and his mother, and we were shooting outside, and the original idea was to shoot it at night. So we got out there, it was nighttime, and it had dipped below freezing, and this poor child couldn't do anything. He was so cold, it was uncontrollable. The mom was shivering through all of her lines, not being able to do it, and I personally was so cold, I could not hit the buttons on the camera to move things around. So we ended up canceling, and they were not free the next day to shoot. So we had to get 2 completely new actors, which is what you end up seeing in cost. So cold, be aware of it. If it's, I wouldn't plan shooting nighttime things outside, specifically for this festival, just because it's going to be cold, I promise. If you're shooting 100 takes, your actors are going to get frustrated. Eventually you got to just realize this is the best I'm going to get and take it. Yes. Now, when the crap hits the fan, that's how I wrote it in. When everything goes wrong, like in cost, when we lost our first 2 actors because it was so cold, or when I was about to pass out. When something horrible happens, and something will happen, it's inevitable, it's just how it goes. How do you go about it? Hopefully you have some kind of backup plan. Hopefully if that happens, either you're not able to get to a venue or something like that, can you set something up? Also, really quick, no, if you can avoid shooting on campus, that's like 10 points extra for everything, because we all know it's on campus, and it's going to break the illusion immediately. That's not in my notes, it's just a side thing. I totally lost my train of thought. When crap hits the fan, cost fiasco, backup plans. All right, occasionally, if a crew member is pushed past their limit, we might see a full-blown meltdown or some kind of altercation that occurs. Hopefully this, if you guys have been communicating about how you're feeling and how the process is going on, this can be avoided, hopefully. If not, if it's a crew member, either can it be rectified, can you fix it, try to figure that out. If it can't, can they be replaced? If it's an actor, if you can't rectify it, you're pretty screwed. If your main actor dips out, then yeah, maybe stickers. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Yeah. Does anyone have their charger? Because my laptop's about to die, so that would be good. I don't even. Wow, I did not have good enough pre-production coming here.
Jordan, yours might not work, bro.
What?
Jordan's might not work.
Yeah.
You have a retina, right?
No.
He has a retina. No, that one. You have a retina. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Most of yours is my laptop. That's all right. So that's pretty USB.
All right. Next section is my miscellaneous just things to think about section because it didn't fit into any other category. So it's gonna be random, don't worry about it. I would suggest, we did it for Jim, trying to raise a budget. And I know that sounds not so fun for digital media majors, I understand that, it didn't sound fun to me. But honestly, there's a lot of businesses and probably friends and family that you have that would be interested in investing into you, especially if they know that it can help further your education and possibly your resume. We ended up raising from quite a few different, from people on campus to people back home to businesses around here. We ended up raising, I think, around $500 for Jim, and it was not that hard. And you don't think about all the little costs that go into making a short film like this, and you know, we're all now professionals in making a zero budget film because we're all college students and that's what we do. But it's so helpful for everything, from the food that we had to eat on set to the shoes for Jim. It's a semi-important part to the plot. Those had to be bought. I wasn't going to pay for them, so the sponsors paid for them. It was great. Transportation. Figure that out beforehand, not 5 minutes before you have to switch sets. Make sure you have enough cars on campus, not only for the people in your group, but the equipment. Those lighting kits are not small. They take up a lot of space, so just have that in mind. And yeah, that's what I was saying. Food. Everybody has to eat, right? Hopefully, we're all human. Make sure you have that figured out. We, for Jim, when everybody had to eat, Callie went out, called McDonald's and ordered 200 chicken nuggets. And we ate chicken nuggets. If you're going to do that, I recommend calling ahead because they will not have 200 chicken nuggets ready. But it worked. Don't forget food. Nothing will make your group more irritable than not eating for 18 hours. Trust me, you can do it, it's just horrible. We did it for cost, and we all wanted to kill each other. It was great. One little trick that I've picked up personally from production stuff, and I've been using it on most of my work recently. If you're moving into a new scene and you have everything set up, all the lighting is where it needs to be, but the actors aren't ready yet, have a stand-in, sit in, take the first shot, pull it out of the camera, put it in the computer, throw it into whatever editor, probably Final Cut, do a really quick color grade and just look at it, make sure there's not any blatant problems with what you're doing. It'll probably take 5 minutes if you know what you're doing, and hopefully it'll help avoid some serious problems in the future. That's just a little trick that I have been using. And file backup. We talked about this on Chapel a little bit. Make sure you do it. One really good system is to have 2 or 3 cards that you're using, and every couple shots or every scene or so, take the card out of the camera, give it to the AC or assistant director, whatever, have them copying stuff onto a computer, and they give you another card to go. And you have a constant system of stuff being backed up as soon as it's shot. It's a great system, it works. If you can have it copied onto 2 different hard drives, that's even better. Data does not exist unless it's in more than one place, 2 places, right? It's in 2 places. Yeah, that's what it is. So those are my random tips and tricks. The last thing, more philosophical, I guess, than anything. What is, personally for you guys, this is a question that I'm expecting answers, so you're going to be graded on this. What is the ultimate goal of Captiv8? What do you hope to do or get out of it? Yes.
When I go for our group, we said we're in it to have fun and make something great.
I would agree. Our thing going in both years was we want to create an excellent product. No matter what happens, the product at the end is the most important. regardless if we take home awards, regardless if we can even enter it into the festival. The film at the end is, number one, is the thing that's going on your resume, the thing that people are going to see and think and remember about you. The trophies aren't that big of a deal at the end of the day. I mean, you're going to go to an employer and say, I won these trophies at this film festival. With what film? If your film sucks, if the film sucks, it's not going to help you get a job. So the number one priority, make an excellent film. We had opportunities both years to compromise on that. The first year with cost, we were having a lot of troubles rendering out the whole thing, and we were given the option, and it was possible to enter the second half of cost from the point, if you've seen it, after the divorce happens and he is a homeless man until the end. So ignore the whole marriage part. That would have, I mean, the story still would have made sense, but it would have been nowhere near as effective. We wouldn't have been happy with the product. The judges wouldn't have been happy with the product. Everybody we showed it to wouldn't be happy with the product. And we would have, first of all, not a good product, and no trophies, and nobody would want to watch it, and everything would have been bad. So I mean, if at the end of the day, and what we ended up doing, we were late when we turned it in. But we got in both things, and because of how it worked out, they took it, and it ended up doing really well. I would say personally for me, quality is the number one most important thing. If you can get a quality film out at the end of the 48-hour film festival, I think that's quite an accomplishment. Don't take a compromise. Don't skim out on the details. Make sure it is awesome. And then the last thing I have on here, Captiv8 is an opportunity to make fantastic short films. It is not the only opportunity to make fantastic short films. I think a lot of us look at Captiv8 as like the one time a year where we get to make a film, as if we can't the other 363 days of the year. I think it's a little bit of a silly mentality. I think like Nico has created tons of short films for no reason, just for the heck of it, over the course of his time here. The Jane music video, I apologize for spamming all of your news feeds with all of the stupid posts about Jane. It's over, it's out now, so you don't have to see it anymore. We did that because it was fun. None of us got paid for that. That was an enjoyable thing that we were really excited about, and we did it for the experience and because we thought we could make a really awesome music video. That's not to toot my own horn and say, I'm doing stuff for free, but doing stuff for the experience, making good films to make good films, to get better. Every film you make hopefully should be better than the last one. Yeah, Captiv8 shouldn't be the only time of year where you're thinking about making stuff, especially if you're going to be a video person. Like if this is going to be your career and you're only making one film a year, you're doing it wrong. So that is what I have to say about Captiv8. And I was told to leave time at the end for questions and answers, or if any of our other veteran friends have any comments to make about production, that would be super awesome as well. So I open the floor. Any questions? Yes?
Can we see your video? The one that you did for Captiv8? It's my first semester here, so I've never seen any Captiv8 videos. If it's possible.
We can show it.
Afterwards.
If you stick around afterwards, we'll show Jim.
Okay.
Cost hurts me to watch now, so we'll show Jim though. So,
Is
yes.
Cost on your Vimeo?
Cost is on Nick's Vimeo. He was the director. So, yeah.
One other point for production I think is important that I always forget about is making sure that your sets are safe. When we were shooting, and by that I mean like last year when we were shooting on Bridge Street, we were shooting in location, and the character leaves, walks out. She's really sad, and she's in character, and she storms out. And I have my headphones on, and I'm listening to the audio because both of them are mic'd up, and she's crying, she storms out, and I hear softly, "Hey girl, how you doing?" And I'm like, and so like she still was just like, you know, like still in character, and so I walked out there, and there was 2 drunk guys walking out of the bar, like right next door, and like seeing her coming out storming, and they were like, "Yo, he making you upset? Why don't you come on up?" And I was just like, "Whoa," you know, and I had to make sure that the set was safe. And it was I wish that someone was out there. Like after that, we put someone out there to make sure that there wasn't anything, but I never think about that, you know. So if you can, make sure that you know, by safe I mean just that location is okay, that there's no one going to be coming in and ruining your shoot. So it was a fun time.
We had a similar experience at Jim. We were shooting out on Bridge Street, same thing, probably the same night. And there's a group of, there was guys and girls came in an SUV, very obviously all drunk, and drove, parked right, we were on the sidewalk here, they stopped in the middle of the road, screeching halt, and girls started running out of the thing, screaming and throwing stuff at the car, eventually tried to get us involved, but we were like hiding behind the cars and stuff, trying to get out of there. And so I guess keeping big guys around, that'd be helpful. It's hard, like the DP, director, that, and like a bodyguard. Just hang around. Tim, do you have any tips for production stuff?
I don't know. I guess keep organized on set, because it definitely helps during post-production, what I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
If you can get a clapper, what's the official name for that?
Slate.
Slate. Sorry. Or just a clapper, someone who can literally just clap, like no joke, if you can't get an actual slate, because that really helps sync up audio and makes things a lot easier. Also, like whenever you're dumping footage on set, like have someone there already doing keywords and whatever, just save as much time as possible.
You were talking about lighting, and you kind of threw in a thought there about something about lighting, something like that, and then you never finished it. Like some cam or something. I don't know.
Go to Home Depot and buy your cans.
Yeah.
You can have it like,
Oh,
yeah.
You just kind of just
I went to a workshop earlier this year with a big Hollywood guy talking about lighting and stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff. One of the things I learned is that you can emulate $1,000 crazy lighting equipment with Home Depot stuff really cheap, especially if you have a medium-sized budget, totally doable. Cans, what I talk about cans, like an incandescent bulb in that like silver like thing to direct the light, you all know what I'm talking about? It's called a can, that's what we call
like
it.
circular kind of?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
bowl shape?
Yeah. Other like really quick tips for lighting. If you look at the people around you, they probably don't have a crazy harsh shadow on their face like all of the lights make. So using the lights in a way that looks good but still emulates realistic lighting in a normal situation is really important, because we'll all be able to see your 3-point lighting setup. That's really good for interviews and stuff like that, but in the real film world, hopefully you try to do something more creative that makes more sense. Use that as a basis, but play around with stuff. Yeah. Any questions? Or ideas, or anything I said that was completely wrong.
Do you use any other like obviously like you like rigs and stuff like that to shoot your thing, and if so, is there other alternatives?
I would say for rigs wise, for Captiv8 we try to keep it as simple as possible. If you watch Jim or Cost, almost everything is on a tripod. If not, it's really subtle handheld. There was one rig, I'll bring that up real quick. But you want to keep things super simple. I understand everybody wants to do the crazy shot from last year where you do like a giant swing up and you're looking over from Matt's film. But keep it simple. You only got 48 hours. You're not going to have hours and hours to do the same take over and over again to do it. The one invention that we came up with Nick, Zach, and I called the squid, is where you take a tripod. We did it for shots where the actor's walking forward and you need to come back with them. I hate using a Steadicam, I don't like anything about it, and I didn't know how to use it at all. Still don't know how to use it, didn't know how to use it at all back then. So what we would do is, those tripods, you can bend the legs out to be like 9 degrees flat, so you can stick it flat on the ground, and have everybody take a leg and walk with it. And have one person control the thing with the back leg, and have 2 people just keeping it stable on their shoulders. And it works really well. If you can practice that beforehand, that's like DIY rig 101. But it works really well. I don't know what to say. We call it the squid. So there, secret knowledge for you. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas?
You want to touch on what good cinematography is, what bad cinematography is, just very, very subtle, just little people thinking. When to use a shot and when not to use a shot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully a lot of those basics are covered in the video classes that you've taken. I love cinematography, I love camera work, that's why I do it the past 2 years. I'd say next to your actor's performance, the lighting and cinematography are the 2 most effective ways of communicating an emotion or a feeling. I mean, I don't know what to say outside of what you probably, like, we understand the rule of thirds, right? We understand if I shoot you from underneath looking up, you're going to look bigger and more intimidating, or if I shoot you from down, you're going to look smaller, more fragile. The use of leading room, so your actor is facing the larger part of the frame, is what you normally are doing. And to make the audience feel uncomfortable, you can give them no leading room, so they're looking right at the edge of the frame. Makes it feel uneasy, or that you can't see what's right in front of them. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe go into like lighting, colors of lighting, things like that. Maybe just setting moods, the camera work. If you want a smooth shot, if you want a shaky shot, when you would need both. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, specifically for like the shaky camera.
Just for film, because like, you know, because I think a lot of stuff that we learn in class is for like, you know, it's supposed to look very professional.
Yeah.
Whereas for film, it's totally different.
Yeah. For film stuff, for lighting, we always try to do our best, not as much to set up a 3-point lighting setup like I was saying before. We try to do stuff that would exist in an actual room or sphere. So if you've seen Jim in the opening shot and in the shot where he's arguing with himself, we had, you can see little slats in the lights as he was going. Tried to kind of simulating like a jail kind of thing is what we were going for. But all that was a couple stands with blinds that we had ripped off of our apartment, kind of like put there, and then a light behind them, because we can't get a light outside sticking in the thing. We ended up doing it, but that was for something else. But using, I don't know, 3-point lighting setup is just so boring. If I could just say it like that. Like, use that as your foundation, but make stuff that looks like you're actually there, but better, like enhanced realism, film that's magic. When it comes to camera work, everybody's going to want to do the handheld stuff because that's honestly the easiest thing to do. It's a lot easier to me to take my camera like this and move it over here for the next shot than to actually get the tripod and set up all the legs and all that kind of stuff. And I know what you're looking for in your head, and I know I can see the same thing, but the lockdown shot 9 times out of 10 is going to look better unless you're trying to communicate a specific thing. Like if something's uneasy, if you're having an action scene, you want it to be kinetic and moving like that. But nobody's tried an action scene. Nobody's tried an action movie yet. Is anybody thinking about that? Because that'd be super cool. Action, okay. I would love to see that. I think it would be difficult, but it would be super cool. Also, a comedy? Anybody trying that? Possibly? Like jokes? goodness. We've gone like 2 years and maybe like 3 jokes over the course of the whole thing. Yes, yeah. Yeah. So be mindful. I don't know, just be creative with your shots if you like. Don't just go in there and do it for that. Like I said before, plan these things out. Don't just go in there the day of and figure it out as you go. Questions? Anything else to say? All right, fantastic. Y'all are gonna have super awesome award-winning films next year, or this year, I hope. So, great. Thank you for, would anybody like to close us in prayer real quick? Finish how we started. All you Christians. All right.
Heavenly Father, we sing this time that we got to come and just learn and just grow in our filmmaking techniques and just what we know. And God, that we would just be able to use them and to be able to make something awesome and to have a great time doing it and just be able to glorify you as well. And we just love you. Thank you in Jesus' name.